Welcome to the Spiritual and Cosmic Podcast of Lady D, the podcast where the mystical meets every day. I'm your host, Lady D, psychic, medium, astrologer, spiritual guide, and cosmic truth teller. Each week we'll dive into real talk about living in a spiritual life in a human world. The good, the bad, the beautiful, the messy, and in between. From psychic insights, astrology breakdowns, to soulful chats and cosmic truths. This is your sacred space to awaken, expand, and keep it 100% real. So grab your crystals, open your heart, and let's get spiritual and cosmic. Ever wondered why every psychic healer, spiritual teacher you meet is really coming from a place of light? I had to say it, but not all of them are. Today I'm going to pull back the curtains on the dark side of the spiritual world. The ego, the traps, the scammers, the energy vampires, and yes, even how mental health plays into it. Whether you're a fellow light worker, a client, or just curious about what really goes on behind the crystal ball, you're going to want to hear this. So this episode is going to be about, I guess, part of it will be about ethics, also be part about mental health, and also some of it's about, those traps, those ethical traps that sometimes people fall into. So I think that it's really good to be honest with clients, and I think that as long as you tell them the truth, like for instance, I am not a tarot reader, so I'm a card reader, so I read cards intuitively. So I can read tarot and I read oracle cards, but I am not a traditional tarot reader. I have not done a tarot class. I do not know what every card in a tarot deck means. I have my own interpretation and how the cards are, depending on what set I have in front of me, and I read them. Whatever sends out at me is how would I read for the client. Right now, for me now, I don't usually use a lot of cards in my one-on-one readings. To me, just the information just comes to me, downloaded to me. But it's important to know. So as a consumer, when you're going into a reader, and I've actually seen this, when I first used to share a stand at the MBS with another lady, and I remember this one time where, first of all, she was my friend was helping us, and she was like, "Oh, so and so is a tarot reader," and I'm like, "No, she's not. She's not a tarot reader. Just she doesn't do that." And she's, "Oh, she told me she is," and I was like, "No, she's not." And then anyway, I think it got later that day or the next day or something, a client came and they asked if we were tarot readers. And I'm always honest, and I always say I read the cards intuitively. So I'm not a traditional tarot reader. But she was like, "Yeah, I am." And I looked at her and I was like, a little puzzled. I'm like, no, you're not. And the client ended up sort of walking away. And I just said to her, "You're not a tarot," because she pulled out a deck of tarot cards. And I said to her, "You're not a tarot reader." And she just sort of shrugged her shoulders and said, "Oh, well." So she was willing to get, and I found this a lot of time with her, is that she was willing to get a reading no matter what. So she would be looking at getting a reading over me no matter what. And it did happen a few times where I remember once where I wasn't feeling the best and a client was coming towards me, but then she just came in and snapped it. So is she coming from a place of light? Or, we all need money. We need that to pay for the spot at these fairs that we are in, and to also everyday lives. For myself, I do 2 jobs. I have this business that I run, which is my spiritual business, and then I have my other job that I do. And she was the same. But then again, at what point do you, are you out there trying to get the clients in? And are you not being authentic? So that was something that I saw in my own eyes. And that is something that I really resonated with me, that, I'm not that person. Even now, I will not tell people that I'm a traditional tarot reader. I tell them I read the cards intuitively, but most information just comes to me. I don't really read the cards anymore. So what I'm telling clients now. So that was one thing that I will sort of slightly cover in this episode about certain ethics. And then we got here as well about mental health. So it's important to know about mental health, whether you're a reader or there's a client. We all had these experiences. Well, I know for me that I have read for people. So I'll tell you situations where I've read for people, and also people that I know who've had mental health issues in the industry too. And it can be a hard thing. Sometimes we want to help everybody, but at the same time we can't help everyone. So, so this episode, we're not here to name names. I'm not going to name any names. I haven't done any of my other podcasts. It's just about creating awareness and also about protection and informing yourself too. So when light workers turn dark, so what I mean by that, it means like the ego's taking over. They're not coming from an ethical place. So, spiritual superiority. So like if they say to you, I'm the only one that can help you, well, that's not the truth. And then, we've got unethical practices where they use scare tactics. And these ones I haven't actually witnessed myself, but I have heard of readers that do this. So I have a friend who said that there was a reader in Liverpool that her friends told her to go to, and they were telling her that they could remove curses, that she was going to get divorced, and if she wanted to stop getting, and mind you, this girl had not even close to being married yet, or I'm not too sure if she had a partner or not, but being told that you have curses or that you're going to get divorced, and to stop that you got to come back, and I'm going to, I can remove this curse, or I can stop this divorce from happening in the future that we don't even know it's going to happen yet because you haven't met the partner. So I haven't witnessed those things, but I have heard of people seeing those things. And then, I mean, we've all had clients, or we've all had, I guess, readings where the client doesn't understand you or may not understand your circumstances, and therefore may come to assumptions. I know that's happened to me where I've been called crazy. Yeah, I know I'm not, but yeah, I've had that happen to me. So when we're using spiritual authority to manipulate clients, so again, they might say certain words to you, and some people believe it, like psychic attacks. It's something that I don't believe in, but the word gets used around a lot. Where even like psychic vampires, I guess people are energy. We're all energy, and sometimes, yeah, if people are too much and they're draining your energy, it can feel quite exhausting. But there's this they play on these words, and I don't believe in these. I don't believe in curses. I don't believe someone can control your life or can change things. If something's meant to be, it's just meant to be. So, and then we've got here the emotional or financial harm that this causes people. If you are someone who, believes someone that says you've got a curse, says they can remove it, or you got something in your home and you've got to pay thousands of dollars, this can really harm people. So, and there are people, I haven't met a lot that do that, but it's out there. I've heard of it, and people are spending a lot of money to get rid of these things. So yes, light workers sometimes, can be. I spoke that before my other podcast. I was talking about the different labels where, um, you know, they're using certain names to describe themselves, which is not true. It also can be, in talking about ethics, where there's a reader will sort of say anything and everything to get you into their stand. I know that there's one, and there's a few readers out there who doesn't have a good name for themselves, and anyone that does read it in their stand or at their stuff, and if I know there's one event there which there's a big reading room at, and the person that runs that, I've heard that if they find out you've been sort of working with this other person, they won't put you in that room. So it's also, if you are a light worker, it's also by association. So if you are working with someone who doesn't have a good reputation in the industry, that can harm your reputation as well. So you've got to think about these things. If you're thinking about and you're seeing someone who isn't ethically in how they run their business, in how they run their spiritual work, that can also rub onto you. Without even like you may have very high ethics yourself, and you may be a very talented light worker, but because you're by association, because you're working with this other person who doesn't, that can rub off onto you. So for me, I work with people who are, I try my very best to work with people who I admire, and who does have certain ethics. Also, I worked with someone, and sometimes you think you can. I have. It's happened to me where I thought, the person is quite ethically, and then I've worked with them and found out, there's been a bit hiccups, and then I don't work with them again. So once I worked with a reader who told a client that their son hadn't gone into the other side, was in the in between and not on the other side, and that can really harm people, So let's see. So we got here. So when we do get to mental health, so this can be a big thing, I find, in the spiritual world. You've got and it's just hard because also too you've got not only mental health but readers who just try to make a quick buck as well with the ethics. They are out there. They may not come from they may come from a low economic situation, and they are trying to make a quick buck. You got those readers too, and again, they'll say anything to get you in there, and they're very good with their words, very gift the gab too, and almost like con artists too, and it gives other people a bad name, but they are out there. So, but we've got the mental health. Mental health is a big thing. That's a big thing that I also wanted to cover it in this episode. Okay. So when we've got a mental health, they can be either the reader, or we've got the client. So in this case, I do know there has been people that I know of who have mental health issues coming into the sector. And it's that fine, let's say that's a fine line between psychic and psycho. That's what this is saying in the industry that we have. So we've got like some people, and the thing is a lot, I'm going to say the high percentage of readers who have gone through traumatic situations, maybe gone through depression, and it's okay to go through that. I've been through that, been through some stuff myself, but it's also about, are you healed? Are you okay? So if you're someone that wants to save the world but haven't dealt with what's happened to you, or you are, and a little bit, you have still got suffering from mental health issues, what happened to you, probably not good thing to read for other people because of what you're going to see, some of the images that you see when you read for people, if you're reading for people who have passed over. So like, for me, I'm pretty strong-willed, but there are times, remember, when I could actually see their loved one, like they had took their own life. I could see how they took their own life. For me, I'm fine with that, but other people may not be. So, so you might have, you might be seeing things, dealing with things that you've experienced that you may not be healed from, and that's going to come into your work if you are a reader. There's also burnout, compassion fatigue can be a thing, and it also can, and the weight of talking to others' energies can also be taking on other people's energies can be a big thing, as I just said. So how balanced mental health can cloud intuition and it can cause like a harm. Okay. So when you've got readers who, I know for once, two things that I can remember. I went to a circle. I was looking for a new class, and found a reader who was advertising that they were teaching. I was like, oh great, I'll go to their class. And I was looking for, they would call them circles. So when you are looking for a class to do, we call them circles. Everyone sits in a circle and you practice, you do these activities. It's really fun. I used to enjoy working in the circles. But anyway, I went to this one person, went to their house, and I think I was doing psychometry or something, and I was reading for the lady who was being the teacher, and I picked up, I forget now what I said, but I just remember her reply back where she started telling us all this stuff about herself. I stayed calm, but I can tell you I did not go back to that person's house. Didn't go back. So there was a few red flags that I should have picked up on. Like number one was when they said that your guides won't be coming into my house. You're working with my guides, not with your own guides. that should have been red flag. But, take benefit of the doubt. You're like, oh, okay, whatever. Well, my guides are going to be here. And then she started to say that she, her guides had been impregnating her, and her job is to carry these babies to a certain point. Then her guides take out the babies. They then put it into the mother, and the mother gives birth to these babies. When she was going on about that, and I know I know that she's online talked about aliens and other things too, about different things and that. But anyway, when she's talking about these babies of her being implanted with, I freaked out. I actually didn't go back after that night. It freaked me right out. I'm someone who, those sort of things for me, I don't believe in them. And yeah, I'll just sort of avoid, move on, I avoid. So I've had that situation happen where, yeah, so I feel like with that lady, maybe she had some mental health issues. I think there's a lot more with her, but yeah, that was an interesting situation that I was in with that one. Then I actually was working with a lady through COVID. I was used to do lives with her. And there was things that she started saying, and it's sort of like was a little bit of red flags and little bits. And then I started working with her at the MBS as well, and just things are happening. And then in the end, I just realized she just had bad mental health issues. So she was someone, or she said that she had experienced things in her life, and that maybe she hadn't dealt with it, but she had clear mental health issues. And I remember when I was doing my lives with her, I didn't realize, because I'd be the one doing all the behind the scenes with the computer. And people started saying to me that she's actually she's copying what you're saying. And I didn't realize until one day I sort of like listened and realized that she was. Or she would go and say something completely different to what I said, and then the person's feedback would come up and say, no, whatever I said would be correct. But like she would say certain things to me about certain politicians going to an international court, like Australian politicians going to international court, and she'd go on about certain things in America, and it used to sort of frustrate me. Like she'd say Australia is not free, but America is, and I was like, oh, it's very, very political. And when she would be reading for clients, I just noticed that she would have a whole deck of cards there, and she would use the whole deck of cards and just read. So again, this is also about, like, it's not only mental health, but ethics as well. She would just read what's on the card. So just say the card was an oracle card and it had like balance, intuition, and freedom. She would read those words on the card and then say something about the card, put it down, and pick up another card. Within a 15-minute reading, she was using practically the whole deck of cards. And then also people were complaining about her readings too. We had people that didn't want to pay for her readings, people who were not happy with her readings, and then she'd be using all these excuses. So she would say that it was the person that helped us, it was their fault because she was sitting too close to her. She was tuning into their energy, not the energy of the client or the person across from us in our stand, that he was drumming too loud. And it just be like going on, but even the lead up to the MBS with her questions like, where does the lift go? And I'd be like, oh, to the floor. But where does it go? I'm like, to the floor. And then she'd ring up the MBS, come back to me, and I'd be like, yeah, I told you, it just goes up. The lift can only go one way. And just other things. And I remember with her, like, I'm not one for conflict. I don't like conflict. So I just sort of, in the end, I said to her, because she was kind of complaining about the readings not going well. She's sitting there, and then she turned to me and she's like, aren't you having the same problem? And I said, no, I'm not. And I just sort of said, trying sometimes, in your head, you say things in your head and it sounds good. And then when you actually say it out loud, you realize it's not sounding that great. But what I said in my head, it sounded really good. I just said, oh, because I've been doing this a lot longer than you have, and I've been trained to, block out what's happening around me, and I just concentrate on my client. Well, she would be like, she took off, raced down, and then she came back, and she'd be like, I've been reading longer than you have. And I was like, oh, I don't think you have been. She's like, oh, I have been because I'm older than you. And I'm like, oh, okay. She also had little like things with her health that she'd always complain about. So the health issues. She was a bit of a like what's the word? Hypochondriac too with the health. I remember my cousin came to help out, and she went off with my cousin for eating a banana because apparently my cousin couldn't eat a banana. It was crazy, but in the end, I had to let her go because it wasn't fair and it wasn't right for clients to be seeing her. And she wasn't in the state of mind that I felt like that she should be reading. Now, the problem was after I had sort of told her that, and I just sort of said to her, look, you said yourself that you're better than me than this, because she had said, and that maybe it's your turn. I feel like, I'm holding you back, and now it's your turn to get a stand. I knew fully well that she wasn't going to get a stand because I would be doing all the work, so she couldn't do it by herself. But I said this to give her a bit of a ego. Not only that too, I found out she'd been calling me a narcissist to people behind my back as well. And then even I told her about that too, and anyway, the lady had issues. But we went back to class, I remember, and or at another circle. It's not the same one as the other one. And then the teacher was asking, what did we want to learn next year? And she put her hand up, and I was like, oh, here we go. She puts her hand up and says, what do you do when other mediums are criticizing how you read? Which was a dig at me. And and I knew the teacher knew because I knew that she had been talking to the teacher about me. The teacher's like, you're a great medium, this and that, and praising her. And these are the things that's wrong. If I've picked up this lady has mental health issues, the teacher should also be able to pick up that she has mental health issues with the amount of time that she was also spending with this lady, but didn't. And then to praise her, and basically there was a indirect thing of belittling me in front of the class, even though not mentioning my name, but I knew it was. There's got to be repercussions of that. You can't have people with mental health issues doing this work. It doesn't work at all. And as I said, it's not fair on the clients. It's not fair on them. She has stopped reading, so she doesn't read now at any fairs, and she does have mental health issues. But yeah, but I knew that she wouldn't be going to any fairs after that happened. Now, I've also, on the other end, had clients that have had mental health issues. When I was working at my last shop I was working at, on 2 occasions, I had clients that had severe mental health issues. And the first one, the people taking the booking, because I wasn't there, should have known that he had mental health issues and that maybe I couldn't help them. But they didn't. They booked them in. I didn't know. And even the booking, the name was a bit odd. I forget now. It was like man, or I don't know, a weird name. And then we had they came in and sat down, and I'm like, I would say, how can I help you? And then he started talking about being psychic attacked. And as soon as I start saying psychic attack and entities, I'm straight away like not into that, and I sort of tell them. And then he was saying that talking about this man who psychically attacks him, and that he can't write his name down, and then I sort of said to him, look, I don't think I can help you. And I remember he was getting me to write names down and asking me these questions and to point out a name. And then I had to tear up the name in like really tiny bits of paper. And because apparently this person that psychically attacks him that he hasn't seen in like 13 years, if he writes down a name or if his name is written down anywhere, this other person will find out and will start psychically attacking him. And I remember early on in the reading when I, saying all this stuff to me, I just said to him, look, I don't feel like I can help you because I don't believe in this stuff. And I don't think I'm the right reader for you. And I didn't want to charge him. And the thing is that because they've booked in and they want to stay for their time because they've booked in, and it happened twice. Two different people that had mental health issues. So with him and some of the other one that I had, I just did Reiki on him in the end because I couldn't help him. So there was that. And then I had another client that came, and when I, first sat down and he asked me about, he was going to have a court case, and then I picked up some stuff, and he said, yeah, he's an inventor, and that he's invented some sort of COVID vaccine or something, and that he's going to sue ASIC. And I was like, you can't. And straight away I was like, mental health. And then again, and he asked me about some lady that was meant to come back to in his life, and I was like, no, because I work in mental health. So the thing is, mental health, you don't go into the delusion. So I just was saying, no, like this is not going to happen. This man was crying. He started crying and wailing, and I didn't know what to do because I knew I couldn't help him, and I told him, I can't help you. I'm not going to charge you for this, but because they've booked in, he was not going to leave. And I remember with that one, it got to the point like I was going around in circles with him, and he was crying. He was saying people were trying to kill him. I remember I went out to the lady in the shop, and this is when I guess I just said to her, look, I'm going to say you, because I said to the client, I'm just going to get the other lady. She's also, I lied. She's also a reader. But I'm going to get her to come in. And I lied because I needed help to dealing with this person because they wouldn't leave. They were crying. They were in a bit of a state, and I just needed some support myself. And so I went and got the lady at the shop, and I just said to her, I don't care what you say, but you need to say you're a reader and you need to come and help me with this because I can't deal with this. And then she came in too, and she still didn't know what to do either. And in the end, I just had to sit, listen to him, and I did Reiki on him as well. And he did leave once the appointment sort of ended. So, yeah, I've had it on both sides where you get the clients that have mental health issues. And the thing is, too, you'll find that with the clients that have mental health issues, especially both of them were like, oh, I have to come to you. I've been told I have to come to you, and I've gone to other readers and they've told me X, Y, Z. And like the second one was like, but now you're telling me something completely different than what all the other readers have told me. And I've been wondering why these things aren't coming true because I go to them. So basically, he was going to other readers. They were telling him, yes, he's going to win this court case for going against ASIC about the COVID vaccine that he invented. And also that this person, this lady that he had, I don't know, an ex-girlfriend or some sort of lady that he wanted to be with was going to come back to him. Comes to me, and I'm like, no, because I'm just telling it straight. And I don't want to give him false hope, which, makes him upset. So there's his ethics on other readers. If they've got mental health issues, I understand they might be trying to make them happy or to make them so the person can go away, but you don't lie to them. So they have to, as a reader, there's a big responsibility on your shoulders to, be ethically, read for people, and heartfelt, tell them what you see, and deliver the message in a certain way. It's, and not trying to deliver a message to scare people, not trying to get a reaction out of them, not trying to make them cry. I've heard readers trying to make people cry. These things are, there's a lot of weight that bears on a reader's shoulders about the people that they read for as well. So yeah, I've had it both. It can go both ways. So, when we struggle with these things, it's really, as a reader, we've got to set boundaries, clear boundaries. So for me, when I read for these two clients that I had, I was straight away, I'm not the right one for you. Sometimes too, you get clients that are angry. I remember once this lady, I read for a young girl. Came together, an older lady and a young girl. The young girl was fine to read for. She was very lovely. Then the older lady came in, and she wanted to connect to her partner that had passed away, and he had been in trouble with the law. I picked him up, and she was telling me that she got quite irate. She was telling me that she was going to go and kill police and do this and do that. She got a bit scary. I tried basically that to tried to shut it down, and you just got to shut it down and try and move on. So yeah, it's about setting these clear boundaries too. If you're, I don't think it's a good idea if you're reading from home alone. If you're a reader, I don't think that's a good thing. Maybe if you have to read home alone, get someone to ring up and check on you. Maybe have like a safe word. Find that's what I do. If I've had to go to a party and I couldn't get someone to come with me, I'd get them to ring up, tell them what time I had to leave, and then get them to ring up and say a phrase so I could answer yes or no. That's always a good one. So also too, if you are a client, be careful of predictions too, or either side as well, depending on what it is and how your client is. So when you also got dealing with mental health, we've got to encourage professional mental health support when needed too. So we can always refer people on. And again, you assess the situation. If you have someone with mental health issues that does not think they have mental health issues, be very careful if you're going to recommend them to go to a mental health support service, because sometimes in that field you'll get clients that think that they're crazy and won't want to go to that. So that can be a thing as well. For me, I've had experience working mental health with my other jobs, so I sort of have a bit more training in this area. I've done mental health first aid, and if you are a reader, you should do mental health first aid. You should do DV training. You should do a lot of sort of community work training, I believe, because it is community. You are dealing with a community, with people and vulnerable situations. So yeah, I do believe that it is good to not only get personal development training, like go to psych to learn to be a better medium or a better psychic or astrology classes, but do classes that are going to be like mental health first aid. You can get free training in that, or even DV training. You can get that for free too. And even like accidental counselor is another one that you might do when you have clients that are going through some stuff. And it's also good to have a resources. So a place that you can refer them to. So for me, I've got I know of places where my clients I can refer them to, depending on what their situation is, and if I feel like they're at that point where it's like a DV, where they can leave. So it's good to have a little bit of a contact list there that you can give your clients to. Okay, so when we're looking at red flags, if it's a reader, okay, when you're looking for a reader and you're looking at red flags, so if someone's trying to instill fear in you for you to keep coming back to see them, that's a red flag. If they discourage you from seeing other readers, that's also a red flag, because you might want to see another reader, get their perspective, and if they say no, ask why. They might have a valid reason, but if they're saying don't see anyone at all by me, then that's a bit red flag. If they're saying, because they're saying don't see that person because of their unethics and then have an example, then okay. They might, if they make big life decisions for you instead of guiding you, I always say I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what I see. That's what I tell my clients. So the green flags of a healthy light worker, so they empower you, they trust your intuition, they make you feel good. I remember I've heard and I worked, sometimes I've given friends and that readings, and they've said to me that I make them feel good inside. And I feel good about that. But yeah, you should be able to make your clients feel good and give them hope. They respect your free will and boundaries. So I said, they can't tell you what to do. They tell you what they see, what they hear, what they feel. They encourage a balance between spirituality and real world situations. Okay. So You've also got to trust your gut. So when you're navigating the spiritual world, okay, trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. If it feels right, then great. So ask for recommendations for trusted sources. So you can ask friends for referrals. With I think with when it comes to reviews, they are good. But also too, don't forget some people might be getting their friends to put reviews up. I know I had a reading recently and I was seeing all these good reviews and I thought, oh, just check them out. Didn't have a great feeling, but just checked them out. Wasn't the best reader. A reader shouldn't tell you that if they're telling you that, you need to see a count, depending on the situation, if they just say to you, oh, you've had some traumatic event happen and you say, yeah, like, oh yeah, ages ago I did, but you seem fine. And you say, oh, I haven't received counseling from that. It happened ages ago. It's whatever. It's fine. And then they say, oh, but everyone needs to see a counselor, everyone needs therapy. That's not very good because not everybody does need to seek therapy. I mean, I have gotten in the readings where I have referred people on to different services, but yeah, I have felt like they have needed that, and it's been spoken about sort of prior before I refer them. And we go through the emotions that person's feeling, or we go through what happened. So it's kind of a bit different. But if you're fine, you're not bothered by whatever's happened with in the past, and they go and say, "Oh, you need to see someone," it's a bit sus. But I've had that happen to me too. So yeah. So good reader, yeah, is a healer. So it should make you feel lighter, not fearful. As I said, make you feel good inside, give you a bit of hope. Should always leave on hope, when we do our readings. So there it is, the truth about the light workers, when light workers turn dark, and how mental health plays a bigger role in the spiritual world more than most people realize. I've even been in a class where there's been a person in a class who had mental health issues, where the whole class has picked it up except for the teacher, and then it got dark. With what come in the coming weeks, it got a bit dark with that. So trust your instincts on people. But it's also interesting when you can see something, but other people can't see it. I find that very interesting. And I always wonder why that is. So my hope is that you walk away from this episode feeling more aware, more empowered, and more confident in trusting your own inner compass. If you've had an experience with a psychic or healer that didn't feel right, I'd love to hear your story. You can message me on my social media or share it anonymously. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please follow, review, and share it with a friend who loves the spiritual world as much as you do. Until next time, stay connected, stay positive, and remember, your light is your best protection.